Genshin Impact's music is nothing short of amazing. That's why I play it in the background of every single one of my videos. The tunes not only sound amazing and are catchy, but they always seem to perfectly capture the emotions that the player is feeling. Whether it be hearing Tender Strength as you tear up at the end of Venti's story quest, or hearing Child's adrenaline pumping boss music when he one-shots you for the first time. Genshin's musical experiences are truly something special. So for today's video, I'm going to be going over what we know about their music creation process as detailed in Developer Insight number 3, Behind the Music of Genshin Impact. Although it was posted way back on June 5th of 2020, the information which I'll be discussing is still very insightful. But of course, I first need to credit the masterminds behind the music, MiHoYo music director Zoe Kai and Genshin Impact soundtrack composer and producer Yu-Peng Chen. Not only has their creative direction made Genshin's music what it is, but they also wrote this article for people like us who are really interested in this kind of thing. While unfortunately I couldn't really find any information on Zoe Kai, Yu-Peng Chen has a very impressive history with the music industry. He graduated from the Music Engineering Department of the Shanghai Conservatory of Music, majoring in music design and production. Before working at MiHoYo, he worked in composing for Chinese films and television. Along the way, he collaborated with artists of varying cultural backgrounds, expanding his knowledge on the cultural influences of music. Now, he works full-time on creating music for Genshin Impact with the rest of the HOYO-MiX team, MiHoYo's in-house music studio. And although Yu-Peng Chen is definitely the heart and soul of Genshin's music, all of the HOYO-MiX team definitely deserves praise for their great work. Genshin's music is not just about sounding good, it's also about capturing a feeling. The world of Teyvat has its own unique aesthetic built through its visual design and the game's systems, so it naturally needs music which further supports that. A perfect example of how this factored into the development of a piece is in Genshin Impact's main theme. Early in development, the cultural identity of each region's music was still being figured out, but the main theme's direction had been decided from the beginning. Yu-Peng Chen wanted to create the perfect login screen background track to give the player an unforgettable first experience. And so, the melodious, elegant tune borrows the voices of instruments to express the spirit of adventure, freedom, sincerity, and purity. But even though there was a clear sense of direction, the process from start to finish was most certainly not smooth. Here is a video of Yu-Peng Chen playing the demo for the main theme on piano. Even though this is the mere foundation of what would eventually become the true theme, even this demo had over 10 different versions. After this one was settled on, Yu-Peng Chen had to make multiple decisions for the changes within the versions that are played for the different times of day. This amazing video goes through each revision for the day and night versions with explanations for each creative choice. Unfortunately, it was uploaded as unlisted though, so not many people were able to see how great it is. I will link it in the description if you want to listen to the whole thing, but here's a recap of it. Beginning with the day version, first Yu-Peng Chen started with only the melody, which is the right hand on the piano. He wanted to see how well the melody held up on its own, as well as its potential for future variations. Then he added the harmony on the left hand to flesh it out. After that came the string arrangements to add some depth to it. Next, he experimented with playing an Irish whistle instead of the piano. After that, he began formal composition and production, exploring the possibilities of the theme and expanding its musical depth. He aimed to create waves of emotion to bring life to the world of Genshin Impact. He wanted to invoke a feeling of eagerness in players when they start up the game. The direction for the night version of the theme is completely different. It started with a single woman singing. Its purpose was to convey a graceful ancient voice from a faraway land. After that, a cappella harmonies were added, with most of them sung by Yu-Peng Chen himself. Next, he wanted to experiment with different vocal sounds. He came up with lyrics that invoke a feeling of religious chanting, though the sounds themselves don't actually have any specific meaning. Unfortunately, he doesn't go over the Dawn and Dusk versions in detail, but they have their own distinct identity as well. They actually both play the same music, which is split into two separate parts. Both express a gentle elegance, but in different ways. One half focuses on the light melody being strummed by a single string instrument. Meanwhile, the other half is characterized by the high-pitched plucking of strings and tinging of mallet percussion. Each version has its own unique vibe to it that ensures the theme itself never gets old, no matter how many times you listen to it. Another track which reflects the same design philosophy is Caelestinum Finale Termini, the theme which plays during Dvalin's boss fight. Whereas most video game boss fights are characterized by high-octane background music to represent the heat of battle, Dvalin's is meant to reflect Stormterror's complex history. It is part fiery intensity and part gentle repose. Once players understand this dragon's story, they will relate to the music's emotion and feeling of distant longing. The slow-moving, melancholic melody is reminiscent of somber tracks in general, yet the percussion and deep strings just keep pushing the song forward. I can definitely see how the conflicted emotions in this song parallel Dvalin's, as he was once a sworn protector of Mondstadt, yet he ended up being corrupted by hatred. This is just another example of how Genshin's music is created to serve as a bond between the game and the player, allowing them to feel like they are a part of the game's world. One question that players often ask is the game made first or is the music? For Genshin Impact, the answer is somewhere in the middle. At the beginning, all the music team had as reference was this CG image of Aether sitting on a cliff, gazing at Mondstadt in the distance. This only gave a vague impression of the game's visuals and didn't tell anything about the theme, story, or emotional elements, so they communicated with the other teams to get a better idea of what Teyvat was all about. As the direction of both the game and the music became more fine-tuned, constant adjustments had to be made. One thing that specifically underwent multiple drastic changes was the ambient music, since it was difficult to achieve the level of immersion and feeling that they desired. In testing phases with other departments, they often discovered places where the music could be improved. They immediately returned to the studio to fix these, but it decided that this process of constantly replacing outdated music ended up being quite troublesome for the development team. While the music team is often inspired by the works of other departments, music can also be a source of inspiration. One example is Liyue's overall theme. The art department provided lots of references and ideas, yet there was a lack of a core identity to unify it. So the music team sent over a sample of Liyue's music in hopes of helping them, and sure enough, they soon finalized the design concepts. It is very clear that Genshin aims to feature a variety of vastly different cultures through its multiple regions. In an interview with Video Game Music Online, following his achievement of Outstanding Breakthrough Artist in the 2020 Annual Game Music Awards, Yu-Peng Chen details some specifics of how he wants to reflect this in the game's music. When it came to Mondstadt, he focused on multiple European elements. He tried to make the music more free and related without sacrificing the romance and eloquence of ancient Europe. Since Mondstadt is also the region of Anemo, he wanted to feature lots of woodwind instruments in the battle music to imitate the free-flowing nature of wind itself. And when it came time to record the tracks with an orchestra, Yu-Peng, Chen, and MiHoYo went all out. Naturally, using real-life musicians over computer-generated sounds would produce higher quality music, but they even went a step further and invited the London Philharmonic Orchestra to be the ones to do it. You might not know them by name, but they have done amazing works, including the soundtracks for Hollywood movies like Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 3. Mondstadt's music is a beautiful representation of authentic European sound, and when it comes to the Chinese-inspired region of Liyue, the same holds true. Yu-Peng Chen stated that the artistic style of Liyue has Chinese Oriental fantasy elements. Therefore, in addition to using Chinese musical instruments, the music of Liyue integrates Western harmony from classical music with traditional Chinese music. Occasionally, he also mixes some extended jazz chords in Liyue's music to add color to the simple melodies of Chinese pentatonic scale. Once again, aiming for authenticity, Liyue's music was recorded by the Shanghai Symphony Orchestra, the oldest Chinese symphony orchestra in existence. If you like Genshin's music, be sure to support HOYO-MiX on platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. At the end of his interview, Yu-Peng Chen stated that in the future, there will be many offline music-related activities, including concerts and CD releases of the soundtrack. In-game, more regions will be added with even more different and distinct sounds to them, so there is a lot to look forward to for fans of Genshin Impact's amazing music. I personally am waiting for the release of their second character OST album because although they unfortunately do not show up in game, the songs in it are amazing. Child's theme is excellent.
Time to end this! Now's our chance! That's so?
But I think Rosaria's has to be my favorite, and I would love to hear the full track. Let me know what your favorite Genshin Impact song is and why. And as always, thank you for watching this video.